Hey guys, Rick from Invo Gaming here, back with part 2 of my Let's Conquer Space series, where I go over 4X space strategy games. Now in part 1, I went over 3 of the oldest games in my collection, and in this part we'll be going over some of the games that came out afterwards. Now these games were released in 1990, 91, and 92, so we're still in that phase of experimenting around with gameplay mechanics and concepts, seeing what works, what doesn't work, if things are too detailed or not detailed enough, figuring out things if there should be like an overarching storyline, randomly generated maps or a fixed map, what sort of combat there should be. So a lot of interesting design decisions and choices went into these games that you're going to see. Now, all of this was to try and figure out a good blueprint to have for Space 4X games, which would culminate in 1994's Master of Orion, which pretty much set the gold standard as to what Space 4X games should be. Now, the game I'm going to go over today, Overlord, Maelstrom, and Millennium Return to Earth, they all have a really diverse idea as to what 4X should be, so it's really interesting to see the design and mechanics that went into each one of these games. So let's get started. Starting off with Millennium Return to Earth, published by Paragon Software in 1990, the game has you playing the role of the commander of the lunar moon base after Earth has been rendered lifeless by an asteroid strike. So your colony, along with a colony on Mars that's controlled by the AI player, are the only humans left in the solar system. This turn-based game takes a more resource management focused approach, and you'll spend most of your time scouting out the different planets, moons, and asteroid belt in the solar system, looking for resources and mining or colonizing them. Careful management of your power generation and resources is needed, as both are in limited supply and requires a delicate balancing act. The UI in the game is somewhat streamlined and intuitive, but suffers from a number of design flaws, one of them being the preciseness of which you need to click menu items and objects in order to interact with them, and another being the inability to queue or repeat production items. Eventually, the Martian colony will declare war on you for control of the system, and combat is played out in a 3D real-time space sim, which is more like a minigame than anything. Unfortunately, there isn't much replay value in the game, as the map, game events, and objects are all fixed and nothing is dynamically generated. Sporting nice cover art, inside the box we find the standard fare of floppy disks, a hefty printed manual with gameplay instructions and background information inside, warranty registration cards, and miscellaneous items, as well as a catalog. On the back is pretty standard fare with screenshots and a description of the game. Moving on to Overlord, produced in 1990 by Virgin Mastertronic, the game takes a somewhat similar approach by focusing more on colonization and economics over other aspects. Presented to you in a series of scenarios, the game primarily consists of managing your economy and trade, colonizing and managing infrastructure on other planets, and training armies. Unfortunately, the UI in the game is very convoluted and counterintuitive, and ended up being one of the few games where I had to refer to the manual to figure out what to do. There is no space combat in the game, as battles take place on planets and are completely abstracted from the player. Although while a graphically colorful game and well done with intricately detailed management of your planets and infrastructure, it doesn't quite work well as a 4X game overall. Sporting some decent cover art on a slip-style case, the contents of the box included 2 envelopes, one containing the manuals and one containing the gameplay discs. Included with the manuals were various things such as catalogs, Also included was a coupon for a discount off of a sound card, which were pretty new items at the time, considering that most computers didn't have sound capabilities. And finally, Maelstrom, developed by Merit Software but published by Don Bluth Multimedia, who would go on to produce popular animated films such as Titan AE and Anastasia. Maelstrom takes a somewhat unique spin on the 4X genre, both from a storyline, gameplay, and UI perspective, and unlike the other two games in this video, combat plays a much more prominent role here. You play the part of a corporate CEO/planetary ruler, and the game is presented to you from the perspective of what sort of desktop software a CEO would use to control his company. There's things like a Skype-style video chat, mining interface, research, trade, and employee management. The UI does take some getting used to, as there are sequences to be followed for performing actions, and does make you feel like the CEO of a corporation with its focus on HR-related tasks. Combat plays a big part in this game, and there's a multitude of options for customizing ships, and some of the designs are pretty gorgeous and innovative. Combat is presented again in pausable real-time and in a 3D battlefield-like environment, a rare novelty at the time. Overall, the game does a good job of presenting the 4X formula, and a lot of concepts and mechanics in this game are still found in modern 4X games today. Visually, the box takes a bit of a departure from the standard of the day by presenting screenshots on the front of the box cover as well as the back. The slipcase style box contains a lot of floppy disks, and a rather hefty manual detailing how to play, as well as some background information. Well, there you have it, the next 3 4X space games from my collection, and I think you'll agree that they're starting to nail down just what a 4X space game should be like. I hope you enjoyed my video, and please leave a comment on what your favorite 4X games are below, and remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.